Hello everyone and welcome back to the Belgian Beer Rollers channel. Cedric here with another brew review, and I know that I promised you this one on Sunday, but unfortunately I fell ill, so with a bit of delay, here we are. Now what are we gonna taste today? We are gonna taste the Biere Brune de Vitteaux, one of our French beers. And we have talked about this brewery before. We had some fruity beers, the Triple Rouge. We have several beers of this brewery. I kind of like them. What can I say about this? This is a natural product. They brew with a bunch of whole grains in addition to the malts. We are gonna get that story, I think around May, because I'm gonna visit these guys, fresh off the press. This is a locally brewed beer. Yeah, I'm very curious about this because this is a 7% dark ale, and not just that, I think this is a very classic one. It has an EBU of 52, it has an EBC of 52, an IBU of around 10-12 I believe, so this is gonna be a rather classic beer. Now whoop. It's been a while since I had a cap to put in my glass over there with all those big bottles and the champagne bottles. Now this is a very, very highly saturated beer apparently. Of course it is re-fermented in a bottle as well. And this isn't the first highly saturated beer by Brasserie Burgonde, so keep an eye out for that. Look at all this swirling in there. It's really, really, really heavy. Now as far as we can tell, and of course this narrow glass helps with that, this cervoise, a very, very vibrant, lively brown ale, rather, how should I say this, rather clear. When talking about dark ales, brown ales, I often expect a more hazy beer, but this is rather clear. It does have a nice caramel brown color, lovely, even darkish beige foam. Yeah, a huge amount of foam. So a decent or more than decent head of foam. There is no oxygen coming through here. And very dense foam as well. So we are gonna taste this in a second. But of course, if they all pour like this, this will have 3 glasses instead of 1. They did add some sugars, but again, that is no surprise at all with this beer style. So, we talked about the color and the looks. Pardon me. See, still a bit ill. So, how about that scent? Ooh, very malty, very grainy. I even get a tiny hint of coffee in there. Now I wouldn't expect them to use heavily roasted malts, although they do use very dark or rather dark caramel malts, but heavily roasted malts, so I didn't expect that that hint of coffee in there, but it is present. I do get a tiny bit of molasses, some dark brown sugar. But it is mainly very malty, very grainy. Now let's see what the taste gives us. Nice. I think this taste has evolved over time because I have kept it in the cellar for a few months. But I'm not getting a very sweet beer, even though I would expect that, but this is actually more in the range of the classic doubles, which weren't all that sweet, which were a bit more malty, which were a bit more dry, and this is right up that alley. Initially I get some, yeah, not that brown sugar that I would expect, a tiny hint maybe, but initially I got more bread, more grains, more a bit of licorice even. A tiny hint of coffee, but I do get a lot of chocolate in there, which is a pleasant surprise. Now I'm pouring this very carefully. This is more or less what it's supposed to look like. Yeah, that is way more hazy because of course the beer has moved over time and moved while I was pouring it. Still a whole lot of swirling in there. Captain Ahab would be jealous. Beautiful. I do get a bit of yeast in there as well. I should show you guys that with the light again. I hope you can see that on camera, but that's a lot of bubbles and a tiny bit of yeast as well. Way more hazy, a bit darker even. The shadow in the glass gives a beautiful effect. Now, I am gonna skip ahead to the verdict, but I want to start my verdict with a huge compliment. And that is that I think, I'm actually convinced, that in a blind tasting with the double ales, the dark ales from several Abbeys and Trappists, I think that this would go very well in that series. And I think that I might even not pick it out. So this is a very classic, non-sweet, nice, roasty, very full-bodied, by the way, lovely dark ale. Now, dark ales aren't my favorite style, but that's a whole other story. It also has a very high presence in the aftertaste. Again, a bit of chocolate, a bit of coffee, a bit of licorice. Yeah. And I think that we've had their Christmas ale before, but I think that this would make for a lovely Christmas ale as well if they just add some herbs and spices. So who knows, maybe next year too, Christmas ales. But nonetheless, that all being said, I am gonna leave it at that. As usual, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more, just return on Friday at 8. I will be here, I promise this time. I'm feeling way better. If you want to see more, subscribe, hit the bell icon and you'll get notified whenever I upload something. And if you liked this video in particular, by all means, hit that like button and let me know, leave a comment or whatever. And I will see you guys again on Friday. Cheers.